Welcome to another edition of Talk City Greensboro, produced by GTN, featuring interviews and events happening around town. It's an easy way to stay in the know while you're on the go. Subscribe to Talk City on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or SoundCloud so you can keep up with what's going on in Greensboro City government. I'm your host, Josh Johnson, and with me today, as always, the one and only Rosemary Plyman.
Yeah, it's just like a bad penny. I keep turning up. The Greensboro Sports Foundation is the local organizing committee for the major sporting events at the Greensboro Coliseum Complex and really throughout Greensboro. We're talking ACC, NCAA, U.S. Figure Skating, U.S. Swimming, U.S. Gymnastics, AAU, much more. Richard Beer is the brand new CEO, and he is with us today. Hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Thanks for
coming. Letting me come on.
Absolutely.
We are so glad you are here. First, tell us, what does it mean to really be the organizing committee for these events? What does that mean?
Well, the organizing committee, we work very closely with the Greensboro Convention and Visitors Bureau, who has a sales staff going out and trying to recruit these events to Greensboro. And then once the events recruited to Greensboro, then that's when the foundation gets involved, and we get involved with our great army of volunteers that we have in the community, and we basically are in the trenches to help execute a successful event.
And so what are these volunteers doing?
So these volunteers, and I'm telling you, Greensboro is very unique because we have such a community of giving and volunteering. And so these volunteers are doing everything from timers at swim meets, greeters at during the ACC basketball tournaments. We have a wheelchair assistants at many events, at many of these sporting events at the Coliseum, where they will literally come. Volunteers will come to your car if you need assistance in a wheelchair, take you to your seat, and then they come back and get you and take you back to your car. And the compliments that we get just on that is just unbelievable. But the joy that these volunteers have of not only being inside the ropes, but the impact that it has on Greensboro is so fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the list, Rosemary. Rosemary mentioned ACC, NCAA, AAU. What kind of events has the foundation been involved with?
Well, you know, everybody knows about the ACC tournaments, the women's and men's basketball tournaments, and we have a good history of the NCAA first and second rounds of basketball. So a lot of people know about basketball, but AAU is bringing a lot of events to this area. AAU basketball, AAU swimming events, but we have a big event coming up in the end of July, the last week of July and the first week of August, where we've had the event in 2019 and we've been awarded 2022 and 2024, and that's the AAU Junior Olympics, where 15,000 athletes will come into Greensboro,
and their families,
and their families, and their grandparents, everybody. I mean, over 27,000 room nights over that 2-week period, and a $38 million impact. People don't know that. It's also going to overlap the Wyndham Championship, which people do know about. Yeah. So, there are a lot of other events that we're recruiting to the area, and of course, soccer is a big thing in Greensboro as well. Okay,
so do you have any favorites? Like, what are some of the things that, things that people don't know about that, they should, and that it's really fun?
Well, I love anything that is carried on national TV from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yeah, you know it.
Absolutely.
And once again, everybody knows that the ACC and the NCAA basketball tournaments will be on TV, but what they don't know is we have a lot of national televised events at our aquatic center.
Yeah.
And recently we had one where over 30 Olympians was there. It was the Phillips 66 time trials for the World Championships in Budapest. And we had over 30 Olympians here. We had U.S. Open records and world records being broken, and it was televised. It's still being televised on national television on different network channels, but NBC covered it on 2 Sundays in tape delays. So we're getting a lot of attention. So those are my favorites, are the ones that put Greensboro in the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been involved with the organization, and why take this job now?
Yeah. Well, I'm a native of Greensboro, but I moved away. I moved to Virginia for 10 years, and I got into economic development. And the reason I'm back in Greensboro is I was recruited back to Greensboro by the Greensboro Chamber in economic development. So I've had a big I like to get involved in the community. But when I came back to Greensboro, I wanted to join the Greensboro Sports Council, which my father wasn't a member, but I wanted to get. I always loved sports and got involved on a volunteer basis, and it ended up chairing a lot of these organizations. But I'm so passionate about what this sports tourism, the sports tourism is a huge economic impact to this community, and we can do more. We're doing a lot of great things, but we can do more. But we got to educate the community, because the community just doesn't realize what's going on here with sports tourism, and that's why I'm thrilled to be here today to start my campaign. So I just had a desire that I turned 60 in November, and I started thinking, what do I want to do for the next 5 years, of my working career? I don't know. It might go longer than that. It probably should. But I don't want to look back and say I didn't try. And I think that my role is going to be big picture. We've hired a great chief operating officer to run the organization, but we've got such a great platform here, and we can take it to another level. And so I decided, this is something I don't want to look back on, and I've got a lot of support, and we're going to give it a try.
Fantastic.
We're excited.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
so you mentioned AAU coming up, but are there some other things that you can tell us about that are coming up?
Well, of course, we've got the Wyndham Championship, but on the swimming side, the week before the AAU is the YMCA long course, and we have a great relationship with the Y. I guess they call it the Y now.
Yeah, they love to come. Yeah, they love Greensboro.
They love
Aquatic
our
Center.
pool. So. That event's coming up. We've got a busy summer. Usually summer's slow, but we have a busy summer, and then the fall will ramp up. But what we're really excited about is what I like to call the Tournament Town Trifecta, which will come back in March. That's when we'll have the Women's ACC Championship, the Men's ACC Championship, and the NCAA first and second rounds. Just like what we had in 2020 when everything came to a halt. So we're going to dust off that playbook.
Good.
And get the community excited. And but we've got a lot of events before that. We've got ACC swimming and diving, and we've got ACC women's golf coming back next year. So, the one thing about Greensboro, when they come and ask, will we do the event, we never say no.
Right. And there's some interesting events, I think, over the years that you've been involved with. I mean, they're not just traditional sports that you might think of. I think I remember one time ping pong coming to Greensboro, really big,
Yeah, well,
or table tennis.
Yeah,
or
table tennis.
Table tennis. Okay.
I think it was the table tennis time
trial.
trial. I mean, it was not the Olympic trials for table tennis.
Yeah.
And we'll have, we're putting a bid in for the Olympic trials for diving and for 2024.
That is so fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. But the AAU, this AAU Junior Olympics is track and field's a big part of it over at A&T State University, but basketball and swimming.
Beautiful
But they have
facility.
20 different events, and one of the events is the cup stacking. So I'm going to go check that out. I like that. We're so
cool.
blessed in Greensboro that we've got access to these things that you're like, go try it out. You might like it. I mean, table tennis, I was like, well, let me go check it out. It was really interesting.
It was intense.
It was. But even the synchronized swimming,
that's
in
beautiful.
the aquatic center, that was great. And even Mermania that was at the aquatic center.
That's good.
So there are all kinds of. Some events are strange, and some events are very interesting.
Not
so
strange.
Try it out.
They just appeal to everybody.
appeal to
Something for
different.
everybody.
Different.
That is so fun.
Yeah.
Well, how can we support the foundation? How can folks get involved?
Well, look, we're always, it's great to have access to be a volunteer and to be inside the ropes. And we're always looking for good volunteers in the community. And we're going to get out and tell the story and tell the story better than we have. And we're going to make these opportunities known, but we need the community to continue to support these events by volunteering and getting the word out. And the community needs to be proud and tell their friends and families all over the country how great we are. We're Tournament Town, and we've got a brand, and we're going and it's a legitimate brand, and we're going to build on that brand.
Wonderful. Is there a website folks can visit to get more information? Or?
Yeah, the website would be www.greensborosf.com. for Sports Foundation, GreensboroSF.com.
Okay.
And there'll be a link to where you can sign up to be a volunteer, and you'll get emails that give you, the choice. If you see something you're not interested in, that's fine, but you'll definitely find something that you want to get involved in.
And I can't let you go without just giving a plug for the Learn to Swim program, because I know you've been a huge supporter. The Sports Foundation has been a huge supporter, led to hundreds of thousands of dollars raised for the endowment. Still a ways to go, but doing great work.
Well, and one of my missions in this new role, and one of my visions in this role, is to enhance, expand, and build new facilities that can bring a return on investment, i.e. heads and beds, which brings lots of revenue to the city and our restaurants. And we built a facility, this world class in the GAC, and it was controversial, but we finally got it done. Yeah. And this is a prime example of how it can benefit the community. And this Learn to Swim program, and the goal of teaching every second grader in the public school system water safety skills, is unbelievable, and it's going to continue to grow, and we're going to reach the top of our goal, and that's to educate, teach these kids water safety skills. But that comes out of building a quality facility that's bringing a lot of business to Greensboro, but it hugely benefits the community. So I love Learn to Swim, and Rosemary, you've been great with it too. So we appreciate your involvement.
We're excited for your new role, and we really appreciate you spending a little time with us. Absolutely. And look forward to all the good coming. I mean, it's fun stuff, it's good stuff, and really we all reap the rewards of it. So
Absolutely.
Thank you. Want to get involved or curious to just know more, you can start at GreensboroSF.com.
Thanks for being on the show. We appreciate you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Stay tuned in weekly by subscribing to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And don't forget, you can download Talk City from SoundCloud.
Thanks so much for listening to Talk City. If you like what you hear, please share it with your friends. You can find out a lot more about Greensboro happenings by watching GTN, your official source for news and information about the city of Greensboro. GTN is available on Spectrum Channel 13,
AT&T U-verse Channel 99,
and North State Channel 31.
GTN also streams live on Roku and the city's website at greensboro-nc.gov.